You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW, the Saturday, July 16th show. I provide you news on everything money, fresh information and market trends and conditions in our local economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or go online to themoneyhour.com if you want to chat with any of my guests, myself, or you have any suggestions that you'd like to bring in for future shows. Right now in studio, I have Jennifer Black with Caring Transitions Seattle. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Oh, happy to be here. Thank you.
Missing Ian today.
We are. He's out and about doing some other things. So.
Yeah, sometimes our men are busy doing other stuff.
There you go.
A little bit about Jennifer. Jennifer brings to Caring Transitions over 20 years experience covering real estate sales, account development, and sales management. She has been a Northwest resident for over 49 years and is excited to provide much needed services to the Northwest families. Caring Transitions services are solution-based and designed to help families navigate home transitions due to moving aging parents to senior housing, relocation, divorce, or death. No matter the scope of the project, they seek to streamline the process and minimize stress. And, you know, we have quite a few guests that come in different arenas when it comes to helping our senior community, our parents and our grandparents. And I think this is an area sometimes that can be pushed off to the side and not dealt with in a time that it should be, making things much easier. So today we're going to talk about how to downsize in your personal belongings and how it can benefit. Why do people often associate downsizing as having a negative feeling?
You know, it's really interesting because I think most of us would agree that the home is, one of the number one assets that a family has. And especially as, seniors are getting older, they need to liquidate that asset in order to help, take care of long-term care and other needs that they may have. But I find that oftentimes they just get crippled by the things that are inside the house. And so, that change creates a level of stress. There's also this perceived loss, as if giving away their things, they're going to lose memories, they're going to lose experiences that they've had with the family. And then just also a lot of families that grew up, war babies or during the Depression, you grew up that you kept things, you passed things down, you held on to family history. And I think that we just have to continue to educate that, the home is your asset.
Yes.
And that in order to be able to move forward, there's other people, there's other ways that your items in your home can be utilized.
Yeah. So, Jennifer, can you share with my listeners some examples of how one family's downsizing can make a difference to another family?
Oh, yeah, sure. So there's a couple things that we all will, know off the top of our head. When you have an estate sale, you can provide affordable home furnishings, things like that for other families that maybe might not be able to afford things going into a retail environment. It also is a great way to help, reduce waste, recycle items and just keep things out of the landfill, which is always a nice thing as well. It also can help provide charitable support, which is nice if you're donating to a charity or things like that. And then it can help families reclaim lost items, help someone rebuild their family history, and also in some instances can change history a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So most people understand how downsizing can provide the affordable options for people to furnish their own homes, help reduce waste and recycle items, things that we've talked about. And how can they provide charitable support through downsizing?
Well, one of them that we all know is that you can, donate to an organization and get, a tax write-off. So that's kind of the main one. But we've also had the opportunity to work with some families where they've had collections and they've had to sell their collections, and with the thought that the proceeds from that would be donated to different charities. And I actually worked with this lovely woman that passed away at 103.
Wow.
And, she just has been in the Northwest her whole life and had the opportunity over her time on the earth to be able to put together a really wonderful jewelry collection. And the family was a little perplexed. They're like, how are we going to deal with this? There's so much. How do we get it out there? What's the right way to go? And we were able to do an online sale for them, liquidate that. It went into the hands of a lot of families that are really excited to have it. And then all of the proceeds from that are going to be distributed to this woman's handful of her favorite charities. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was an instance where it was really nice that, that the beneficiaries of the estate didn't need that money. And they were excited to be able to be part of the liquidation process and know that it's going to help benefit some other people in need.
Yeah, that's great. And what a great way to bring the family together as well. And, a time when you've lost somebody to come together and do something great like that.
And follow their wishes.
Yes, exactly.
Support their wishes. So it was a really neat thing to be able to do.
That's awesome. Jennifer, you had mentioned how downsizing helps families reclaim lost items, rebuild family history, and even change history. Can you share some examples with that to my listeners?
Oh, absolutely. So this is the one that I get the most excited about because it's one of the things that we do that you don't expect on a daily basis.
Okay.
And so, everyone seems to think, oh, I've had it for 40 years, I need to keep it. And that's not necessarily true. I had a recent opportunity to sell Abraham Lincoln, and it's called a carte de visite. And back in the 1800s, people used to hand them out very similar to like a business card today. And there was one that it was a rare photo of him, and on the back, the photographer was a female photographer. And which was very unusual back in the day.
Yes, I imagine.
That in itself, and then also being able to photograph Lincoln. I mean, that's a pretty neat thing. And so we sold that to a collector. And then what happened after a period of time, I got a phone call from a gentleman, and he's like, hey, I saw that you had, sold this card. I'm really interested in learning more about it. And so, how it turned out is that image over time had actually been attributed to a male photographer. And there was no history to be able to support that until that card was sold and there was a record of it and a photo record of it online. And so I was able to provide him the support that he can then take that to the National Archives and say, no, this was actually taken by this photographer and it will change history in a small way.
Wow.
But, it's a fun story for me because my little piece of the puzzle and the family's little piece of the puzzle was able to change, history in a small way, which is wonderful. And then, we've also had examples. There's a gentleman from the turn of the century. His name's John Court, and he is well-known entertainer and is known for basically building the Moore Theater. I got a call from his grandson, and he saw a photograph that we had online that we were selling, and he's like, hey, that's my dad, or that's my grandfather. Do you know who purchased that? And I'm like, yeah, well, let me get you in touch with him. So I was able to connect the two of them, and he was able to actually buy back those items, and now it's part of his family history that he's trying to build for his family.
Oh my gosh.
So it went from this, handsome man and a really neat old frame photo to getting back into the hands, pardon me, of the actual family. And then, another fun example is a gentleman that I noticed was buying a lot of woven baskets. And a lot of them were from the Makah tribe that most people are familiar with. And after a couple times of him coming in and purchasing those, I'm like, well, tell me what's going on. Are you a collector? And he goes, no, actually, he goes, my grandma made these. And so he could tell by the way the basket was woven and little pieces of her style that those were his grandmother's basket. So he was purchasing those and bringing them back into the home. And so I just love that, So when you think that you're giving up these things, sometimes it's just benefiting families in other ways. And they're so grateful to have those back.
And what a great thing to have those stories. And I'm just looking at, the name of your company again, Caring Transitions. I mean, and that you're recognizing all these special moments, and what an opportunity for you to be able to share when people are having some challenges in this process of downsizing, to be able to share a few of these stories. And I bet you're bringing some of them, you can bring them to tears. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is
beautiful.
It's a good thing that people do.
Yes. So how do you believe that families benefit benefit the most by using a professional downserving service like yourselves, Caring Transitions?
Well, I think that there's a lot of ways that people can benefit. The experience. It's nice to have someone that kind of knows how to navigate.
Yes.
The different paths that need to be navigated. Also, we just help people, save time.
Yeah.
It can be so difficult for a family to come in and try and do this on their own, and so we help support that. It's also for us. They're not our things. They're not our belongings. We just get to kind of be a caretaker of them for a short period of time. And so there's not that deep emotional connection. So we can really help families make logical decisions about what's the best next step for their things.
But a highlight for what you guys are doing, you've got the emotional connection to understand what's happening with them and pulling that emotional connection, just like you said, away. So I just, it's just a real shout out for what you guys are doing in sympathizing and understanding what they're going through.
And just to provide support on is a great thing too.
Yeah. So Jennifer, when should a family start the downsizing process?
It's never too soon.
I could understand.
It's never too soon.
Agree, yeah.
I would say that the most important thing is, if you give yourself time, the more time you can give yourself, the better. Most projects can be taken care of in about, 2 weeks.
Okay.
But the biggest challenge I think you'll find is just being able to get on someone's schedule. And so the more time that you give yourself, you can plan out, the smoother the transition can be and less stressful.
Sure.
So as soon as there's a hint that maybe this is something that's on the horizon, just talk to someone.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to make a phone call, schedule an appointment, and just learn more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, for children that are listening out there thinking about their parents, grandparents, other family members, how should they be getting involved in this process?
However the senior or however your parent wants you to be.
Okay.
I think that it's very common for family members to go in and say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And that's not really what the family member needs.
Okay.
So ask questions, listen, say, how can I be of, the greatest support? What do you want? What do you need from me? And I think that you might find what families will find that what they think that person needs versus what they really want are two different things. So start asking questions.
Yeah. Find out what they want.
Yeah.
So do you have any of your clients ever just, walk away and say, hey, you guys are the professionals, take care of it, do what you want, and let me know when you're done?
They do, actually.
That seems kind of scary.
It can be for a lot of people, but, think about it too. As I said, this part can be very crippling to people.
Yeah.
And so there's a part where there's a point where you just need to kind of trust in the process and trust in a professional and know that, our best interests are your best interests as well. And so there's a lot of different ways we can support families. But a lot of times when, they live out of state, they have their own, families they need to care for, it's not possible to spend the time and the effort that's needed to do it properly.
Yeah.
And we can still work on, one-on-one. There's a lot of great ways to communicate with family members, even if they can't be present.
Yes.
So, yes, we have that happen quite a bit.
Yep.
And, we can be really efficient that way.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming into studio. Give a shout out, and I'll give a shout out on mic here for Ian. Tell him I said hello.
We'll have him come in again sometime soon.
Perfect. Maybe we will. If you want to connect with Jennifer at Caring Transitions, 1-855-400-1150 is the show number. But you also can go to themoneyhour.com and go ahead and just type in Caring Transitions in the search, and you can listen to all of previous podcasts, and all other information will be there. Jennifer, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up next on The Money Hour, redefining your history of trauma into your story of triumph. I have Jennifer Maloka with Woohoo Coaching right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.